Welcome to the Bos Auto Show. Buying or selling your vehicle during the pandemic is certainly different, but it doesn't have to be complicated. The staff at Bos Auto Sales in Quincy has years of experience, knowledge, and stories to share with you. Find out what the local car market is like and what you can do to help secure yourself the best deals here on the Bos Auto Show.
Hello, everyone. My name is John. I am the host for today's show. Here today we are with a friend of mine, Anthony.
How's it going, everybody?
Anthony has some interesting stories to talk about today. First, I want to just have Anthony introduce himself, talk about, the car that he has, the modifications that he has, the plans that he has for that car. So go ahead, Anthony.
Hey everybody, my name is Anthony, and I currently drive a 2012 Subaru WRX. It is, I'd say, tastefully modified. Nothing too crazy right now. Plans for it is to get a little over the top, but time will tell what happens.
Now, what currently do you have done to the car?
So it has an upgraded turbo system. It has short throw and short linkage shifters. A full exhaust system, on lowering springs, and it is tuned with an access port.
Very nice, very nice. Now, when you say you want to go over the top, what do you mean by going over the top?
So the plan is in the next few years to go with a full wide body kit, chassis mount wing, pull the motor, put a new motor in, and hopefully make about 600 horsepower.
Wow, that's very, very impressive. Now, what made you want to do that?
Seeing a lot of builds online definitely put me towards that, but being in a lot of friends' cars that are a lot faster than mine really helped push me towards the direction of higher horsepower.
Okay, perfect. Now, what got you into cars in general?
Well, I'm 27, so cliche is like Fast and Furious movies, of course.
Yep.
But having older friends growing up that were already able to drive really opened my eyes to the possibilities of what cars are really out there other than what cars you just see every day driving, and the possibilities of modifying and fabricating different things to make your car very unique to yourself.
Okay, perfect. Now, what would you say are the most important things about a car to you? Like, if you talked about a lot of things about your future build. You talked about appearance with a wide body kit and a chassis mounted wing. You talked about performance with a pulled engine. Now, what is the most important thing to you?
I know this is a bad platform to say it for Subaru, but reliability.
Okay.
I know out of the gate, once you start modifying this specific model, it gets a little hectic.
Yeah.
But talking to the right people, they can give me a pathway to get it reliable and high horsepower. So that's one of the main things.
Yeah, perfect. Definitely. Now, just besides modifying cars, besides, performance, reliability, why do you like cars in general? Like, what about them is special to you? Because I know, you've been into cars for a while. You and I have gone to a lot of car shows together. We've gone to different events. You go to some of the big events that have thousands of cars, show cars and race cars and things like that. But what is it about cars that really just draws you to them?
Being able to personalize it however you seem fits you. I like the ability to take a car off the showroom floor and then you're allowed to do whatever you want to it. The sky's the limit, and no two cars are really the same once you start modifying it.
True.
That's what I find beautiful about the automotive industry is there's so many different like places to do things. Especially Subaru is one of my favorite brands because they're so modifiable. There's so many different companies that make aftermarket parts.
Yeah.
And honestly, no two exact cars are the same.
I agree, definitely. Now, you also have a truck in the family, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now tell me a
Yes.
little bit about that.
So it's a 2018 Ram 1500 Bighorn on 36 muds with a 2-inch leveling kit.
Wow.
And that's just the beginning.
Now, what are the plans for that particular truck?
Oh boy. Plans for this are probably 6-inch lift, 38 muds, and a lot of aftermarket suspension and
Okay.
wheels and tires, basically.
Anything to the engine? Anything performance?
We have an intake, and I mean, we could put a supercharger on it, but I'd have to consult my my accountant for that.
True. Now, what do you like about trucks that's different? I mean, obviously, trucks are more versatile. You can put things in them, things like that. But, going from a lowered Subaru to driving a lifted truck, what do you like about driving a truck over a car, and what do you like about driving a car over a truck?
So one thing that my wife and I like to do a lot is go outdoors. We like to go hiking. We like to go camping. So the truck's really nice to get down trails, and we have a truck tent that we set up in the bed, so
wow.
we could just pull into a spot and camp for the night,
Okay.
which is awesome. But at the same time, with a car, it's fun taking mountain roads, seeing all the nice scenery, but
True.
still getting somewhere.
Okay.
But at the same time, taking the Subaru anywhere north, you run the risk of all of a sudden the road stops and becomes
Yeah.
a dirt road, and it's like, oh,
Very
okay,
true.
now I got to turn around and find another way to get 2 miles down the road.
True.
So
Now, here's a tough question. If you could only have the Subaru or the truck for the rest of your life, which one would it be?
oh boy,
I know this is very, very tough. I can smell the wood burning.
oh man, I have to say the truck, just
Okay.
for versatility wise.
Okay.
Just because the Subaru's fun and everything, but like I said, if the road all of a sudden gets really bad,
Yeah.
that's like the end of the trip. So
Okay.
so just getting more places with the truck.
I'm actually very, very surprised
Right?
on your
Right.
decision. I thought it was gonna be the Subaru.
Right, I've had that thing forever. So
I know.
Right.
It's actually my old car. So Anthony, again, he's a friend of mine. Been a long friend for a while. He actually purchased my Subaru from me that I had modified a little bit, and then he took it, and again, made it his own.
yeah, well, a funny story about that. The reason that I fell in love with the car was one time I was cruising down the street. You were next to me, and I heard the thing. I was just like, I need that.
Yeah.
And as soon as you said, "Oh well, it's up for sale," I was like, "Yep, that's mine."
Now, speaking about selling cars, you also have, a daily driver. You also have a Subaru.
It's just an Impreza hatchback.
Okay.
Nothing crazy. Hubcaps, 5-speed.
Now, it's fairly new, correct?
Yeah, 2018. Yep,
And
3
you
years
bought
old.
it. You bought it new?
Yes.
Okay.
Had 8 miles on it.
Oh, perfect. So, talking about buying a car, do you have any stories about purchasing a vehicle? Do you have any great stories, any bad stories?
Unfortunately, not really. I've only bought one car from a dealership.
Okay.
And it was the wagon, and
Now, how was that experience?
it was actually really good because the guys worked. I was in a really, really tight spot, and the guys did everything they could to get me exactly where I needed to be for monthly payments and down payments. And
Wow.
honestly, it was the best experience I had.
Okay.
I'm actually currently trying to get rid of it, and my experiences haven't been the best so far.
Now, what do you mean by that?
People are very judgmental when you come into the dealership with a base car.
Okay.
Especially if you're trying to get into anything a little bit more luxurious.
Okay.
They kind of tend to stay away from offering any money for it because it is not a very desirable second owner car.
Okay, true.
So I get a lot of heat for that, but in general, it's not too bad. I just really haven't found anything that's reliable and comfortable for me.
Now, if you could change anything about the car buying process, what would you do? For example, last week, I discussed how I think personally, my opinion, of the future of car buying is going to be majority just online. I talked about last week. I talked about something as simple as getting a credit card. A couple of years ago, it was a big ordeal. You had to go to a place, fill out the paperwork. You had to wait to get a response. You had to wait in the mail to see, did I get the card, or did I get a decline letter? Now it's just you go online and you say, this is all my information, and instantly within 5 seconds that you got a credit card. Now,
and your credit line and like how much they're offering you.
Exactly.
Take out like money.
And
it's crazy.
The same thing's happening with car buying, I think. So we're actually going to take a quick break so you can think about what you want to do with the future of car buying, what you think is going to change, and what you perceive car buying in the future is going to be, or what you would change. So we're going to take a quick break right now. We'll be back in a minute to continue the conversation with Anthony. Thank you for listening.
So, you're in the market for a pre-owned vehicle? Buy it at Bos Auto. Bos Auto in Quincy has a fantastic selection of pre-owned vehicles, both luxury and economic. BMW, Audi, and Porsche, Honda, Toyota, and Nissan. They search nationally for the very best vehicles so you can drive home with the best value. And right now at Bos Auto, you can get behind the wheel of the pre-owned vehicle of your dreams with affordable finance rates, maybe even lower than 3. That's right, meaning just a few $100 a month. Visit bossautogroup.com, BOSAutogroup.com, and check out their huge selection of pre-owned vehicles. They'll buy your car, take your trade, or even work on consignment. Bos Auto has an incredible lineup of domestic and foreign vehicles, even rare finds like Ferrari. Search online and see for yourself why you should book your next car buying experience with Bos Auto. They're open for appointments Monday through Friday, 10 to 7. Book yours at bossautogroup.com, bossautogroup.com.
Again, this is the Bos Auto Show. My name is John. I'm the host of the show today. We are here with Anthony. We've been discussing everything from his car, his modifications, to what got him into cars. We just started talking about buying cars. So I asked him if he had any stories, and I asked him what he would change with buying vehicles.
All right. So my insight on car buying in the future, I feel like it'll mostly, like you said, will be online. My big concern for like dealerships and stuff, though, is what they're actually getting in return if you're doing like a trade-in or something.
Okay.
Because I know there's a bunch of online car sales already that have like, oh, you can trade in your car and buy this other car, and everything is just online. It just shows up at your car.
Okay.
I want to know how like truthful that's going to be, and like how easy that is to know that the car that I'm picking up is going to actually be that car that you sent me pictures of.
Okay.
So I take that stance for like the dealership point, but for the consumer, I feel like it'll be a lot easier, quicker, and maybe not as stressful because you're sitting at a dealership for hours just waiting.
Okay.
I feel like everything online is kind of, I don't know, I want to say like super speed, because you're not sitting on your computer for a couple hours. I feel like you'd be on there for like 15 minutes if you truly find a car that you really want.
True. Now, I mean, I agree with you. From a dealership standpoint, you want to make sure that the car you're getting is that car for a trade-in. I think that you could still bring the car in and get it looked at, get it inspected, But I do agree that, again, just like we talked last week, I do agree that a lot of things are going to be done online now. Now, used cars. Do you feel the same way? Do you feel, smaller dealerships? Do you feel the same way? Do you think that that it should be done online, or would you like to go to the dealership as well?
I feel like if you're buying a used car, you need to see it before you put any money into it. I feel like that would be the biggest thing, especially for small dealerships, is that you'd still have to bring in the customer, because for me personally, I could never buy a car and not sit in the driver's seat.
Okay.
And take it at least for a 10-mile test drive or something.
Definitely.
Just because on paper everything sounds cool, but once you get in it and you're like, oh, this front seat doesn't feel good, or the steering wheel feels weird or too thick, or
True.
Your opinion can change very quickly from just looking at something online, and then all of a sudden you're in it and you're like, oh, I don't like this.
I agree. And, that's why here at Bos Auto, they have, make an appointment, and you can come in and take a look at the vehicle. You can test drive the vehicle. I like how here at Bos Auto they're doing appointments. So it just makes it so for a fact, as soon as you get there, the salesperson is assigned to you. You have, on time, the car's going to be there, it's ready, and you can just, instead of spending those hours at a time at a dealership, like you were saying, it cuts down a significant amount of time. I've been to dealerships before, and I have not made an appointment. Could be partly my fault, but I've walked in and I have not been helped by someone for, 40 minutes. And
Yep.
so that's 40 minutes that I could have gotten back if I made an appointment and was scheduled with someone.
Yeah, the same thing goes for if you show up and the car's not in the lot.
True.
It's online, but it's not physically in their lot.
Very true.
It's actually happened to me a couple times.
Yeah.
So that's why I've started making appointments, just to kind of narrow down some of that time that I spend in the actual dealership.
Excellent. Now, going back on what you were talking about, you have now 2 Subarus.
Yep.
So would you say Subaru is your favorite brand of vehicles? Your favorite manufacturer?
I would say yes. Not because I'm loyal to the brand, but just being in the car community for a while. Just the camaraderie between Subaru owners, especially heavily modified ones, is actually pretty incredible. And
Okay.
I haven't seen a lot of that in other communities. Sure, they do have them, but I haven't seen them as big or as prominent as I have in the Subaru community.
Okay. So we're going to play a little fun game.
All right.
I'm going to give you 3 vehicles. They're Subaru vehicles. And one you have to crush, and you can never drive it again, obviously.
Okay.
One you have to rent. So you can either have it for just one weekend, or you rent it out to someone else.
Okay.
And then the last one is own. So it is a car that you are going to own.
All right.
And let's see, those vehicles, Subaru only, let's say the Subaru 22B,
Okay.
an 07 STI, which would be a very iconic car as well. And then let's say a brand new 2020 or 2021. I don't even know which one's out yet.
I want to say it's 2020 still.
2020?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think
So out of those 3 vehicles, which one would you crush? Which one would you rent? And which one would you own? And why?
All right. So we're going to crush the 2020 STI. Why?
Oh.
Because it's the newest one and everyone knows it's just an STI for now.
Okay.
The 22B is going to be the one that's owned because it's the most iconic Subaru out there.
Okay.
And honestly, it's the most expensive one out there. So you also want to look at the resale value in that, because as the years go by, they're going to be more and more rare, and that price is going to go higher and higher.
Very true.
And the rent would be the 07 STI because it's so iconic. I know people will just want to rent it all the time.
Okay.
So I feel like that would bring in the most revenue consistently.
Okay. All right.
I'm thinking about the money game.
That's fair. That's fair. Now, besides Subaru, what would be your other favorite brand? You know, you have to have a favorite exotic brand, and I know that's a big debate that everyone goes through is, you know, Ferrari or Lamborghini, or
Yep.
you know, are there any hypercar brands that you're interested in?
Oh man.
If money was no object, you know, and you could get any brand, what brand would you be?
I'd honestly go with Lamborghini because I've
Okay.
seen a bunch of gnarly twin turbo setups,
Okay.
and seeing the amount of power to all four wheels
Yeah.
in that small, that light of a car just blows my mind, and it's just like I want to get inside of that and
Okay.
see what that feels like.
All right. So you're definitely more performance based opinions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Which is fair. I mean, I'm big on performance too. I like some cars that people would say don't look the best, but I know that it functions well, and I know that it performs well, such as the McLaren Senna.
Yep.
I'm a big fan of it. I always have been. Not so much even that it's named after my favorite race car driver and my dog.
Convenient.
But you know, looking at it, some people say it's ugly, but I see it and I see, you know, those fenders may look ugly, but I know what purpose they have.
Each feature on the ugly car
Exactly.
is there for a reason.
Yeah.
Like, sure, it might not be the most appealing to your eye, but each wing, each crevice cools something, or is an air duct and pushes air away so the car gets lower to the ground. That's what I kind of like about every car's design, is some of them are just made to look good, and some of them are made to look good and go fast.
Yeah.
Some of them are made just to go fast. They might
Definitely.
not look good,
Definitely.
but that's their purpose.
Now, you said Lamborghini would be your choice. Have you ever driven one? Have you ever been in one?
I've been in a couple. I was in an Aventador,
Oh, wow.
and I've been in a couple Huracans.
Okay. You were in an Aventador?
Yes.
How was that?
Awesome. The noises are fantastic.
Yeah. They make some really good noise. I think I took you in a Huracan. Right?
Yes.
I drove you around in a Huracan.
Yes, that was fun.
That was fun. That was interesting.
That was a Spider, right? It was convertible.
It was a Huracan Spider. Yep.
Yep.
It was convertible. It was actually the rear-wheel drive version.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah,
All
they have the all-wheel drive version, and they have the rear-wheel drive version. That was the rear wheel. Still plenty fast.
I was gonna say it was still fun. It couldn't really tell.
Yeah, you can't really tell the difference unless you're 0 to 60.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was a fun time. Do you have any other stories about fun times in cars, or fun times just around cars? What is one of your favorite stories involving being around or in a vehicle?
So this was probably like 2-3 winters ago.
Okay.
You were actually there. There was probably 20 to 30 people in a parking lot in the back of an industrial area, and we were just doing like donuts and stuff in the snow. But it was just the amount of cars, and every car was a different make and model.
Okay.
And it was just, everyone was having such a good time, and like people, of course, have the stigma of, oh, these kids are just being rowdy and doing things. And
Yep.
it was surprisingly very controlled, and it was a blast. We were there for like 3 hours, and it was just continuous fun, and just got to see how everyone could handle their cars and see how everyone can actually drive.
Excellent.
It was,
Excellent. Any shows that pop out? Any events that you've ever been to? You know, sanctioned events, not just kids in a parking lot doing.
Well, those are the best times.
True.
But every year, it's basically a religion. Every year we go to Wicked Big Meat down in Connecticut, and
Okay.
it's the second largest meet in the country for strictly Subarus.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
so it's pretty interesting this year. Kind of a bummer that it didn't happen.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
But yeah, every year we've gone for the past like 6 years now.
Wow.
And every year it just gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and it's just thousands and thousands of Subarus, and you get to meet all of the aftermarket companies that come and show their new products for the new year.
Oh, that's interesting.
Yeah.
Now, is it just a car show, or is it? Is it just a trade show?
It's everything. There's
Okay.
there's an oval track that they turn into an autocross course.
Wow.
Usually they have Subaru of America comes
Okay.
and brings their rally cars.
Oh, wow.
So they usually have demonstrations. There's shows. There's two-step competitions. There's limbo for see who gets the lowest car. In the end, then there's all the manufacturers and stuff for all the aftermarket parts and stuff.
Okay.
And it's really big and it's really fun.
Wow.
And yeah, it's actually a good time. If anybody out there owns a Subaru, definitely check it out. Wicked Big Meet. It's a really good time. You get to meet a lot of really cool people. You get to talk to a lot of good vendors that actually are helping me build my car, because all you gotta do is go up to them and start talking to them, and these are the best Subaru guys in the world.
Excellent.
And they'll tell you exactly what you need.
Well, and then there's also a show part of it. And I remember I went one year, and there's the car show, and then there's the unofficial car show, which is what I call it.
The parking lot.
The parking lot. I mean, sometimes there's people who are very humble, and they say, I don't want to enter my car into the show, but their car deserves to be in the show. I remember walking the parking lot and saying, there's some cars out here that are absolutely incredible, and they should be in the car show, and they would get first place, but they're just out in the general public parking lot, and that's a show in itself.
Well, the other thing too is timing. If you don't
Okay.
sign up, you don't get a spot.
Wow.
Because there's so many people with so many different builds.
Okay.
That as soon as they open registration for the actual car show, you have like maybe a week
Wow.
to actually register and get in.
Wow.
I know people that have been on waiting lists for a couple of years because they just keep getting closer and closer to like the 100 people they let into the actual show.
Yeah.
And it's just, but that's got to tell you what that means, that there's so many people with all of these crazy cars,
Okay.
and there's more than 100 because they only let 100 people into the actual show.
Huh. Okay.
So there's just, you can see that many different modified cars just in the parking lot. It's just like, wow.
Yeah. I mean, it was something else. I really enjoyed it because you got to see the people that don't consider their cars "quote unquote" show cars, and you got to see everyone's taste, everyone's a little bit of their personality into their vehicle.
Well, like that's what I was saying earlier, is every car sure might be from the same manufacturer, but not a single one is the same.
Yeah.
In 2019, which was the last show, there were 5,800 Subarus.
Wow.
And yeah, so that's a decent amount.
Yeah.
And you could just walk through the parking lot, and every single one was different. Even stock ones had little tastes of people's color likes that they like, or their wheels are different, tints, vinyl decals. There's different modifications for everyone. And that's one of the main reasons I like cars so much, is that you can modify them as much as you want, but in however way you want it, because it's your car.
Definitely. Yeah, that's really, really interesting. Now, again, a little bit of a difficult question.
Oh boy.
This is a little tough. You've been going 6 years now, you said, to Wicked Big Meat, and what would you change? I mean, the way you describe it, to me it says that it's a very, very amazing, incredible experience. But there's always something that someone could change. There's always something that, outsiders see that people inside don't. So what would you change?
The only thing I could say is a bigger venue.
Okay. So you want more than 5,800 cars?
Well, with that amount of people, there is parking gets tight.
Okay.
And the lines get long. So if the venue was just a little bit, I know it's at a racetrack, so I mean there are only a few in New England, so you'd have to choose wisely. But that's basically the only thing I could really think of, is just being able to spread it out a little bit more, because there are a lot of people that go, especially nowadays where social distancing is kind of a thing that I don't really think they want to cut down the size, because then kind of pushes people away from it.
Definitely.
So basically just a bigger venue. That's about it.
All right. Well, speaking about social distancing, we're gonna pick that back up. We're gonna take a quick break here. Again, this is John and Anthony with the Bos Auto Show with 95.9 WATD. Feel free to call in if you want to discuss some things. We'll be back in a quick second.
So, you're in the market for a pre-owned vehicle? Buy it at Bos Auto. Bos Auto in Quincy has a fantastic selection of pre-owned vehicles, both luxury and economic. BMW, Audi, and Porsche, Honda, Toyota, and Nissan. They search nationally for the very best vehicles so you can drive home with the best value. And right now at Bos Auto, you can get behind the wheel of the pre-owned vehicle of your dreams with affordable finance rates, maybe even lower than 3. That's right, meaning just a few $100 a month. Visit BosAutoGroup.com, BOSAutogroup.com, and check out their huge selection of pre-owned vehicles. They'll buy your car, take your trade, or even work on consignment. Bos Auto has an incredible lineup of domestic and foreign vehicles, even rare finds like Ferrari. Search online and see for yourself why you should book your next car buying experience with Bos Auto. They're open for appointments Monday through Friday, 10 to 7. Book yours at BosAutoGroup.com, BosAutoGroup.com.
Welcome back. This is John with the Bos Auto Show. The host for the show today. We're here with Anthony. We've been talking about everything from car modifications to buying cars, the auto industry, dealership industry. We talked about trucks. We talked about car shows that he's been to. We left off about social distancing. Now, COVID, the pandemic, coronavirus, this has really impacted everyone's life. It's impacted everyone's life from everything from something huge to jobs, to visiting family, to traveling. And it's also impacted small little things, such as, manufacturers shipping us product. Mail times have been delayed because everyone's been buying things online. Now, how has it affected car events? You go to a lot of different events. You've talked about different events today on today's show. How has COVID affected car events in 2020, and how do you think it's going to affect car events in the future?
So far, all the smaller meets have really gotten hit hard with this because they aren't as regulated as a big name meet. So it's really affecting the smaller meets, especially like networking and stuff. Okay. I know a lot of people try to get to know people in their communities. So when they go to a local meet, you get to network with a bunch of people, get to meet new people with different cars, different garages, different ideas, and basically with not being able to go to meets, it's mostly online now, with a lot of virtual car meets.
Okay.
But the whole networking aspect of it is really taking a hit, because you're not physically able to talk to somebody, like see their car and be like, hey, you the owner? Like, quick question for you about this duct or something. Something simple. Hopefully things start lighting up a little bit, so that way we can start talking to people.
Okay.
Basically at the local level. I know a lot of big meets have been trying to like cut down sizes and stuff like that.
Okay.
Just to have the meet still, but not at the capacity that they've been running at for the past like 5-6 years.
Okay. Now, how do you think that it's going to affect car shows in the future, or car events, not just shows, anything from drifting or autocross or things like that?
I feel like it's going to keep the numbers low.
Okay.
I feel like an autocross event or like a drift event will still happen, maybe not spectator-wise.
Okay.
Drivers definitely will still be okay, since it's either you and a passenger.
Yep.
Sometimes it's just you by yourself.
Yeah.
So I mean that's fine. Autocross usually the same thing.
Okay.
So I feel like for the driver, it won't be as bad in the future. For spectators, I feel like it might be worse for them. Okay. Because it's horrible to say, but you're not participating in it. You're basically just watching.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that's not what the organizers, that's not really what they're concerned about. They're more concerned about the drivers being happy.
True.
So, I mean, yes, for spectators, it might not be the best, but for the actual car enthusiast that's driving in the events, I feel like it won't be too bad.
Okay.
I could be wrong.
No, I mean, it's your opinion, and I have to agree with you. How do you think the shows are going to be in the future? How do you think just car shows, just car events, or something like a Wicked Big Meet, but on a smaller scale? Sometimes you and I go up to the Dragway, and they have like import night or one of those shows. How do you think moving forward, even after the pandemic is over, how do you think people are going to attend car shows?
It's a toss-up because you can look at it both ways. I feel like you'll either have people that are still kind of skeptical about going out, so that the events might still be small, or you're going to have this absolute overtaking of people that have just been waiting to go out, and now all of a sudden you're like 3 times over capacity, and like it's just an absolute mayhem because people have just been dying to go. Yeah. Or it could be the other side of the coin where people just don't want to go out anymore because they're just worried about it.
True, very true. Now you said something interesting a little bit ago. You said virtual car meet. Now I have not attended one of those. I have not. What is a virtual car meet?
It's usually a lot on like Facebook groups. And someone will just on like a Saturday morning be like, "Hey, members, if you're active, send a picture or video of your car. Let's just get a thread going and just start conversations and stuff."
Okay.
And
that's interesting.
Yeah, and one person could turn into, it depends on what group you're in, could turn into thousands of comments, pictures, just people just talking. Huh. And that's becoming the new networking, is basically just becoming more active in social media. Because now you kind of get away from that like awkwardness of like just approaching somebody. And like now you can see a thread and be like, "Hey, this is my little input. Someone respond to me," and then usually you get a nice snowball effect.
Wow, that's really innovative. Yeah. Because sometimes I know that I've walked parking lots of shows, or I've walked shows in general, and I do my full circle of the lot, and then I go back to my car usually, and that's what I do. And then sometimes, a week later, I see pictures from the event, and I'm like, I never saw that car. I would have loved to ask someone, how did you fit that turbocharger over there? Or maybe a question. I used to have a Nissan Silvia, so that's a big. The S chassis is a big community. People are always saying like, I'm doing this. How did you do that? Or why did you choose that intercooler over that intercooler? And that's what I like about this virtual. Something that I've again never done, but it's such a great concept for me, because you can look at every single picture of the car, and then you can comment or message that owner and say, "Hey, I was looking at that spoiler. What are your opinions on it? Or what do you think? Or why did you go with that?" Or, and again, like you said, it kind of takes away the awkwardness, and it takes away the, I've done this before, embarrassingly. I've sat next to a vehicle waiting for the owner because the owner's walking away, maybe going to get food or maybe going to look at another vehicle, or maybe they just don't stand near their vehicle during a show. And I've wanted to ask about a specific brake. And I stood next to that car for a solid 15, 20 minutes just waiting for the owner. And then on top of it, I had someone come up and they were standing next to the car looking like they owned it, and I asked them questions about it and they said, this isn't my car. And so, like you said, it takes away that awkwardness of, is this the owner? Is this the owner? Where is the owner? I just want to ask them one simple question. So that virtual show is really, really, really exciting for me, because if someone posts a picture of a car, they have to be the owner of it, correct?
In theory, but you can never trust the internet, so.
True.
But yeah, no, it does. It's more of a direct line directly to the owner for any specific question.
Yeah.
But if you also do it during one of those open forums, like a public meet, you also get other people that own maybe the same chassis that can answer the same question a different way.
Exactly. It's very, it brings me back to the forums, like way back in the day, the forums, car forums, and just for specific cars. And there's always gurus about that car forum, but that's really, really interesting, and I'm glad you came in. I'm glad we talked about that.
Perfect. Thank you for having me.
Of course. Again, this is the Bos Auto Show. I am your host, John. We're here every Saturday, right around noon time. We're going to be here again next Saturday, same time. If you can't join us live, Google the Bos Auto Show. We're on your favorite platforms like YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and Facebook. Thank you guys for having us.